The 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene. Law 1. Do not trust friends too much. Learn how to use your enemies. Even 700 years after the fall of the Han Dynasty, China continued to remain in a state of chaos. The struggle for the throne never stopped. Every new king was put to death, and the army kept carrying out coups. This fight for power was soaked in blood and violence. In one such case, a king was killed by his own generals, who then chose the strongest man among themselves and made him the new ruler. To protect his throne, this new king had all the powerful men eliminated. But within a few years, he too would be killed, because younger generals would conspire against him and murder him along with his sons. This pattern continued endlessly. Whoever became king always lived under constant threat, because everyone around him was an enemy. Becoming the emperor of China meant being lonely and insecure. A ruler who held the title of power but possessed no real control. However, in 959 AD, when General Zhao Guangyin rose to power, the entire game changed. He became Emperor Song. He clearly understood his situation and knew that in a few years, his own blood might also be spilled. He began to think of a way to prevent this. After becoming king, Emperor Song invited all his army generals to a celebration party. When everyone became drunk on wine, the emperor ordered all the other people and guards to leave, leaving only the generals with him in the court. The generals assumed that Emperor Song was about to order their execution, but that did not happen. Emperor Song said to them, "Every day of my life passes under the shadow of fear. I find no peace either at the dining table or in my bed. I am sure none of you dreamt of becoming king just to live such a life." Hearing this, the generals were frightened. They promised never to conspire against the emperor and vowed to remain loyal to him. But Emperor Song was wise. He knew that greed for wealth could drive people to do anything. He then promised them, "The best way to live life is to spend peaceful days with honor and wealth. If you are willing to give up your control, I promise to reward you all with fine estates and immense riches." The generals were astonished. The emperor wanted to give them wealth and security. Now they had nothing to fear. The next morning, every general resigned from his post, and their retirements were formally accepted by Emperor Song. They became nobles and masters of the estates granted to them by the emperor. In a single move, Emperor Song turned his enemies into loyal supporters. Emperor Song wanted to unite his kingdom under one banner. In the far southern region of Han, a rebellion had been ongoing for years. Liu was the king there. When the rebels surrendered, the emperor did not punish them. Instead, he granted King Liu a position in his court. Not only that, the emperor also invited him, as a gesture of friendship, to drink wine with him. In the palace, Emperor Song handed King Liu a glass of wine, but King Liu hesitated to drink it because he feared it might be poisoned. He said to the emperor, "Your Majesty, I know that the mistake committed by this servant deserves nothing but death, yet I beg for my life before you. Please forgive me, for I cannot drink this wine." Hearing this, the emperor laughed. He had no intention of poisoning King Liu. To reassure him, the emperor drank the wine himself. From that day on, King Liu became loyal to the emperor. The man who had once been a great rebel now became the emperor's most trusted friend. By gifting large estates to the generals, Emperor Song acted wisely. After this, he had nothing to fear from them. Instead of killing them, turning them into loyal allies proved far better, and as a result, military coups came to an end forever. Emperor Song was the first to put an end to civil war and violence in China. The Song dynasty ruled China for 3 centuries. A man whose life you have saved from a death sentence will remain grateful to you forever. Such a man will go to the farthest corner of the world for your sake. When you turn your enemies into friends, they often become even more trustworthy than your friends. Friends often agree with everything just to avoid conflict. To avoid hurting you, they hide their true qualities. It is possible that you do not know them as well as you think. They may even be jealous of you. When trouble comes, friends often run away. On the other hand, your enemies are no less than a gold mine. You just need to learn how to dig it. Law 2. Keep your intentions hidden. In the 17th century, there was a very famous dancer in France named Ninon de l'Enclos. She was so beautiful that great politicians, thinkers, and writers were madly in love with her. When it came to love, she was a highly experienced woman. Ninon understood that seduction is a game, an art that can be perfected through practice. Gradually, she became more and more famous. Young men from wealthy French families came to her, and she taught them how to love. One of them was the Marquis de Sévigné. He was only 22 years old, very rich and handsome, but completely inexperienced in matters of love. By that time, Ninon was already 62 years old, yet she was still very popular. She listened carefully to the Marquis' story. He had fallen in love with a young and beautiful countess, but he had no idea how to express his feelings. In the process, he had already made many mistakes. First of all, Ninon explained to him that love is nothing less than a war. She told him that every step must be carefully planned and then executed with precision. Ninon told the Marquis to prepare himself for the battle of love. He had to create distance from the Countess and start ignoring her. When he met the Countess again, he behaved like just a friend. Because of this behavior, the Countess assumed that he only wanted friendship. This left her slightly confused. The next step was to make the Countess feel jealous. The Marquis began roaming all over Paris with beautiful young women. This made the Countess extremely jealous, and she became convinced that many women desired him. Ninon explained that women are attracted to men who already have many women pursuing them. Winning the love of such a man gives them greater pleasure. After confusing the Countess and making her feel jealous, the time would be right to seduce her. Now the Marquis had to change his routine completely. His next moves needed to be totally unpredictable. He had to avoid events where the Countess was likely to appear and instead attend the salons she frequently visited. Within just 2 weeks, the Marquis became skilled at executing all these steps. Ninon carefully observed his progress. Her spies kept her informed of everything. She laughed heartily whenever the Marquis came to her and narrated all his stories. Ninon heard that the beautiful Countess was now growing restless for the Marquis. She kept asking about him and watched him closely at social gatherings. Ninon became certain that the Countess had also fallen in love with him. Within a few days, she would be his, but then something went wrong. The Marquis went to meet the Countess at her house. However, once he was there, he became desperate. He forgot Ninon's advice and did the exact opposite of what he was supposed to do. He grabbed the Countess's hand and confessed his love. Shocked by his behavior, the Countess immediately pulled her hand away. As the evening went on, the beautiful woman began avoiding him. She did not even wish him good night, nor did she come out to see him off. When the Marquis visited her house again, he was told that the Countess had gone out. He went there many times, and then one day, the Countess finally invited him inside. But by then, everything had changed. The Countess, who had once started liking him, now felt uncomfortable and awkward in his presence. And just like that, a love story came to an end. Most people constantly say exactly what they are feeling. They openly express their opinions in front of everyone. Such people reveal their intentions and plans immediately. Although this behavior feels very natural and easy for us as human beings, hiding one's thoughts and intentions is not easy. It requires effort. Above all, many of us believe that honesty is the sign of being a good person and that it will win everyone's heart. But this is not always true. Honesty, in fact, is like a blunt instrument. It often cuts more than it protects. When you are overly honest, you become predictable. People neither fear you nor respect you. To become powerful, it is better to set honesty aside at times. Learn to hide your true intentions. It will be very useful to you. People believe only what they see and hear, which makes deception easier. Create the appearance that you want something else. This allows you to focus freely on your real goals. In the game of seduction, introduce conflict. Show desire and indifference at the same time. This not only confuses the other person, but also ignites a fire within them to win you over. Law 3. Never outshine the master. Galileo Galilei was an Italian scientist. In the early 1600s, he was going through a very difficult time because he depended on rulers for funding his research. Whatever discoveries and inventions Galileo made, he dedicated them to his rulers. During the Renaissance, every scientist had to do the same. When he invented the military compass, he had to present it to the Duke of Gonzaga. He also wrote a book explaining how to use this compass, and he presented that book to the Medici family. Both the Duke and the Medici were highly impressed and rewarded Galileo with more students. However, despite making many great discoveries, his rulers usually paid him only with gifts and never with cash. This made Galileo dependent on his patrons for everything. To earn his livelihood, he had to stay in their favor. In 1610, Galileo discovered the moons of Jupiter. This time, he adopted a new strategy. He distributed his discoveries according to each patron. For example, giving a telescope to one, a book to another, and so on. This time, Galileo focused on the Medici family and dedicated the discovery of Jupiter's moons to them. This was a brilliant tactic because Jupiter had always been a symbol of the Medici family. The founder of the Medici family, Cosimo I, considered Jupiter a very powerful god. In Greek mythology, Jupiter is known as Zeus. Cosimo I adopted Jupiter as the symbol of the power of the Medici dynasty and laid the foundation of the Medici rule in 1540. Galileo announced that he had discovered Jupiter's moons on the coronation day of Cosimo II. In front of all of Italy and the royal court, he gave this honor to the Medici family. Jupiter has 4 moons, and Galileo claimed that these 4 moons symbolized Cosimo II and his 3 brothers. Just as the 4 moons revolve around Jupiter, the 4 suns revolved around Cosimo I, the founder of the Medici family. By doing all this, Galileo tried to show all of Italy that the Medici dynasty had received the blessings of heaven. He even designed an emblem in which the god Jupiter was shown in the sky, surrounded by 4 stars. He presented this emblem as the new symbol of Cosimo II. Galileo's efforts paid off. That same year, Cosimo II appointed him the official mathematician and philosopher of the state. Now, Galileo began to receive a proper salary. Because of this position, he was no longer dependent on any patron. He no longer had to beg anyone for support. All masters want to remain superior to their subjects. They fear that their subjects might become more intelligent and more brilliant than them. They are not truly concerned with inventions or scientific discoveries. They care only about their own name and prestige. By linking the Medici family's name with the stars of the sky, Galileo gave them even greater honor. Masters often feel insecure around intelligent people like Galileo because they do not want to be seen as mere financiers. They want their own names attached to inventions and discoveries as well. They want to show the world that they are both powerful and intelligent. Galileo understood this very well, which is why he flattered the Medici family so skillfully. Galileo never tried to appear more intelligent than his rulers. That is why his masters did not feel insecure around him. Instead, by associating the Medici family with heavenly bodies, he elevated their status throughout Italy. He increased his master's glory more than his own, and pleased by this, they rewarded him generously. It is dangerous for you if you become the cause of your master's insecurity. You must flatter your master in every situation, but do it cleverly. Let all the credit go to your master. Never make them feel that you are more brilliant than they are. Continue doing your work with apparent innocence. Always take your master's advice in every task. And even if a brilliant idea comes to your mind, give the credit to your master. If you desire power, keep your talents hidden. Let others take the name and fame, and never make them feel insecure. When your time comes, this very approach will turn into a great advantage for you. Law 4. Say only what is necessary. Long ago, it was a custom in the French court that matters of state were first discussed among the nobles and ministers, and only then presented to the king. Debates would continue for many days among the nobles and ministers. After that, they had to choose 2 representatives. One by one, these 2 representatives would explain their views in front of Louis XIV. Now it was the king's responsibility to decide which resolution would be best for the state issues. Finally, the representatives came before the king. They presented the issues and also explained the 2 best possible solutions to resolve them. Louis XIV simply listened. There was no expression on his face. When they finished speaking, the king would say, "I will see," and with just those words, he would leave the court. Louis XIV never discussed that subject again. A few days later, his courtiers would come to know what decision he had taken, because by then, Louis had already acted on the state issues. His silence gave no one any clue about what was going on in his mind. Predicting his next move was extremely difficult. Because of his silence, his courtiers kept talking among themselves, and in this way, the king came to know what was in everyone's mind. But what was in his own mind, no one ever knew. Louis XIV even used the information he gathered from people against them. Because of this, he became extremely powerful, and people feared him. He could crush anyone because he knew everyone's weaknesses. In this way, silence became Louis XIV's greatest weapon. By limiting your words, not only do you become more powerful, but you also avoid making many mistakes. When you speak without thinking, you often say something wrong or foolish, and this can land you in trouble. In 1825, a rebellion took place in Russia. Nicholas had just become the new Tsar. However, the liberals wanted change. They wanted Russia to become a modern country, where the economy and government would move in step with the rest of the European nations. However, Nicholas I ultimately crushed this rebellion during the Decembrist uprising. He ordered that the leader of the rebellion, Kondraty Ryleyev, be hanged. Ryleyev stood on the platform with the noose around his neck. As the trapdoor beneath his feet opened, the rope suddenly broke and he fell to the ground. In those times, if the rope of a condemned criminal broke, it was considered a miracle from God, and often the criminal was spared. But Ryleyev stood up and shouted to the crowd, "Did you all see that? In Russia, these people are incapable of doing anything properly, not even making a decent rope." The king's messenger immediately rushed to the Tsar and reported everything. Nicholas I was deeply disappointed that Ryleyev's execution had been delayed. Reluctantly, he was about to sign Ryleyev's pardon, but before doing so, he asked the messenger, "Did Ryleyev say anything after this miracle?" The messenger replied, "Sire, he said that in Russia, people cannot even make a proper rope." At that very moment, Nicholas III tore up the pardon and threw it away. He ordered, "Is that so? Then let us prove him wrong." The very next day, Ryleyev was brought again to the gallows, and unfortunately, this time the rope did not break. Once you speak, you can never take your words back. Therefore, speak thoughtfully and carefully. It is possible that others may be offended by what you say, or that you may land yourself in serious trouble. As the saying goes, the less you speak, the fewer mistakes you make. Conclusion. These are just a few pieces of advice that you can apply in your daily life. They are not only useful for those who want to become powerful, but can also be used to improve your relationships with others. The law, "Never outshine the master," can also be understood in this way. Always acknowledge and respect the people who help you. Use your enemies means forgiving people for their mistakes and giving them another chance. By hiding your true emotions, you remain humble and unassuming. By speaking less, you can become a better person. Reading this book does not mean that you will necessarily become a politician, but you will definitely learn something valuable from it. Like and share this video, and subscribe our channel.